The sun was setting over Chicago, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple as Olivia Carter finished her 12-hour shift as a paramedic. Her radio crackled just as she was about to clock out. Unit 14, we have a possible cardiac event. At the corner of Elm and 42nd. Elderly male, unresponsive. Police are delayed. Can you respond? Olivia sighed, brushing her brown hair from her face. She had promised her younger brother Kyle she would be home in time for dinner. At 19, he was old enough to take care of himself, but since their parents died 3 years ago in a car crash, family dinners had become their sacred ritual. Unit 14 responding. ETA 5 minutes, she said into her radio, already heading for her ambulance. The address was in West Side, one of the rougher neighborhoods in the city. As Olivia pulled up to the scene, she spotted an old man lying on the sidewalk. A small crowd had gathered, but no one was helping him. Some were even eyeing his expensive-looking watch and leather briefcase. Olivia grabbed her medical bag and jumped out. "Paramedic coming through. Give him space, please." The crowd reluctantly parted. Olivia knelt beside the man, who appeared to be in his 70s. His skin was pale, with a bluish tint to his lips. She placed her fingers on his neck, finding a weak, irregular pulse. "Sir, can you hear me?" Olivia asked, pulling out her stethoscope. No response. She quickly assessed him. Labored breathing, clammy skin, and his pulse was getting weaker by the second. Classic signs of a heart attack. Olivia glanced around. Where was her backup? A young man from the crowd stepped closer, eyeing the old man's gold watch. "Hey, maybe he doesn't need that watch anymore." Olivia looked up sharply. "Step back now, or I'm calling the police." Her voice was firm despite her 5'4" frame. The man hesitated, then backed away, muttering under his breath. Olivia worked quickly, attaching her portable ECG machine to the elderly man's chest. The reading confirmed her suspicion. Myocardial infarction. She administered aspirin and prepared a nitroglycerin spray, all while keeping a watchful eye on the crowd. "Where's my backup?" she muttered, radioing dispatch again. Unit 14 requesting immediate assistance. All units are currently responding to a pileup on the highway. Estimated wait time 20 minutes, came the crackling response. Olivia cursed under her breath. The old man's condition was deteriorating. She couldn't wait. Using all her strength, she managed to get the man onto her stretcher and wheeled him toward the ambulance. As she was loading him in, 2 men approached from the shadows. "Nice watch the old-timer has," one said, stepping closer. "This man is having a heart attack," Olivia said firmly, placing herself between them and her patient. "Back off. Now." The second man laughed. "And who's going to make us?" "You?" Olivia reached into her pocket and pulled out her pepper spray. "Last warning. My patient needs emergency care and I'm not in the mood for this." Something in her eyes must have convinced them she meant business. The men backed away, disappearing into the gathering darkness. Inside the ambulance, Olivia started an IV line and connected the man to her monitors. His heart rate was dangerously erratic. She began emergency treatment protocols, radioing ahead to the hospital. "This is Unit 14. I have a male, approximately 75 years old, experiencing acute myocardial infarction, blood pressure 90/60 and dropping. Administering emergency meds. ETA to Chicago General 8 minutes. As she worked, the old man's eyes fluttered open. Pale blue eyes, sharp despite the pain, focused on her face. "Hang in there, sir," Olivia said, adjusting his oxygen mask. "I'm taking you to the hospital. My name is William," he managed to say, his voice barely a whisper. "Save your strength, William. We're almost there." William's hand weakly grasped her wrist. His eyes, despite the pain clouding them, seemed to be studying her face intently, as if memorizing it. "Thank you," he whispered before his eyes closed. Again. Olivia monitored him closely during the short drive to Chicago General. His condition stabilized slightly with the medications, but he remained critical. As soon as they arrived, a team of doctors and nurses rushed out to meet them. "Elderly male cardiac event in progress," Olivia reported as they wheeled William in. I've given him aspirin, nitro, and started him on heparin. He regained consciousness briefly during transport. Dr. Nelson, the head of cardiology, nodded. We'll take it from here, Carter. Olivia watched as they wheeled William away. Something about the old man stuck with her. Maybe it was the way he had looked at her, or perhaps how alone he had seemed on that street. No one had been with him. No one had called for help except a passerby who hadn't even stayed around. After completing her paperwork, Olivia headed home. She lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the south side of the city. It wasn't much, but it was all she could afford while putting her brother through community college. "Hey, I'm home," she called out as she entered. Kyle appeared from the kitchen, a spatula in hand. "You're late, again." Despite his attempt to sound annoyed, concern showed in his eyes. "Sorry, had an emergency call right at the end of my shift. Some old guy had a heart attack in Westside." "You went to Westside alone?" Kyle frowned. "Liv, you know how dangerous that area is." "I'm fine, aren't I?" She smiled, ruffling his hair like she used to do when he was little, even though he now towered over her. "What's for dinner?" "Spaghetti. The sauce has been simmering for hours." Olivia's stomach growled in response. "Sounds perfect." Over dinner, Kyle talked about his classes and his part-time job at the local grocery store. Olivia listened, grateful for these moments. After losing their parents, they only had each other. "So, this old guy," Kyle said as they were washing dishes. "Was he rich or something? Westside is a weird place for someone elderly." "Don't know. He was well-dressed, had an expensive watch. Maybe he got lost." Olivia shrugged. "I doubt I'll ever see him again." Later that night, as Olivia lay in bed, she found herself thinking about William. There had been something in his eyes, intelligence, strength, and something else she couldn't quite name. She hoped he would be okay, but in her line of work, you learned not to get attached to patients. You helped them, then you moved on. Olivia had no way of knowing that this chance encounter would change the course of her life forever. As she drifted off to sleep across town in a private room at Chicago General Hospital, William Grant was asking a nurse to bring him a secure phone. The CEO of Stellar Industries had important calls to make about the young paramedic who had saved his life. 2 weeks passed, and Olivia had all but forgotten about the elderly man she had saved. Life continued as usual. Long shifts at the ambulance service, helping Kyle with his college applications, and worrying about the stack of bills on her kitchen table. The rent was due next week, and her car needed repairs she couldn't afford. On Tuesday morning, Olivia shuffled through her mail, mostly bills and junk, when she found a cream-colored envelope with her name written in elegant handwriting. No return address. Inside was a sleek invitation card and what looked like an ID badge with her photo on it. Olivia frowned, not remembering posing for such a photo. "Olivia Carter," the invitation read. "Your presence is requested at Stellar Industries headquarters, 10 a.m. this Thursday. Security clearance attached, formal attire suggested." Olivia turned the badge over in her hands. Stellar Industries was one of the biggest companies in the country. Everyone knew about them. They built rockets, satellites, and had contracts with the military and NASA. Why would they want to see her? "Probably a mistake," she muttered, but curiosity got the better of her. She called her supervisor and requested Thursday morning off. When Thursday came, Olivia put on her only nice outfit, a navy blue pantsuit she had worn to her parents' funeral and hadn't touched since. She took the train downtown to the giant glass tower that housed Stellar Industries. The security guards at the entrance examined her badge carefully. "Miss Carter," one said with unexpected respect. "We've been told to expect you. Please follow me." Olivia was led through the grand lobby, past dozens of busy-looking people, and into a private elevator that required the guard's thumbprint. The doors opened directly into a massive office on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of Chicago, and the walls were lined with models of spacecraft and framed patents. In the center of the room, behind a large desk, sat the old man she had saved 2 weeks ago. "Miss Carter," he said, standing up with a warm smile. "Please come in, I'm William Grant." Olivia stepped forward, confused. "You're the man from Westside, the heart attack." "The very same," William said, gesturing to a comfortable chair across from his desk. though I'm feeling much better now, thanks to you. Olivia sat down, feeling out of place among the obvious wealth surrounding her. I don't understand. Why am I here? William pressed a button and a young assistant appeared with 2 cups of coffee. You saved my life, Miss Carter. I wanted to thank you properly. I was just doing my job, Olivia said, accepting the coffee. Anyone would have done the same. But they didn't, did they? William leaned forward. I was told you protected me from thieves, waited alone for 20 minutes for backup, and gave me emergency treatment that, according to my doctors, prevented permanent heart damage. Olivia shifted uncomfortably. Again, just doing my job. William smiled. I've spent the last 2 weeks learning about you, Olivia. You're raising your brother alone after your parents died in a car accident. You gave up your dream of becoming an astronaut to put him through college. You worked double shifts to make ends meet. Olivia stiffened. With all due respect, Mr. Grant, my personal life is none of your business. You're absolutely right. William nodded. But I'm making it my business because I believe in repaying debts, and I owe you my life. He stood up and walked to the window. Do you know what Stellar Industries does, Olivia? You build rockets and satellites, right? William chuckled. That's what the public knows. But we do much more. He pressed another button on his desk and the windows darkened, turning into screens. Images appeared of what looked like advanced spacecraft, unlike anything Olivia had seen before. We've been developing technology for interstellar travel, William said. And we're close to success. Very close. Olivia stared at the images, wondering if this was some elaborate joke. Why are you telling me this? Because I want to offer you a job, William said simply. As chief medical officer on our first crewed mission. Olivia laughed, then realized he was serious. Mr. Grant, I'm a paramedic, not a doctor. You have a bachelor's degree in biology and emergency medicine training. You're quick-thinking, brave, and resourceful. Our medical team can train you for the specific skills you'll need. William returned to his desk. Besides, what we're doing has never been done before. There are no experts in space medicine for interstellar travel. Olivia shook her head in disbelief. This is crazy. I can't just abandon my brother. Kyle will be well taken care of, William said. A full scholarship to any college he chooses, plus a stipend for living expenses. I've already arranged it. Olivia's eyes narrowed. You did what? Sorry. William had the grace to look embarrassed. I got ahead of myself. The point is, all obstacles can be removed if you're willing to accept my offer. Why me? Olivia asked. There must be thousands of more qualified people. William's face grew serious. Because when I looked into your eyes in that ambulance, I saw something rare. A person who cares deeply and acts without hesitation. That's exactly what we need for this mission. He paused. Besides, I believe in fate. Why else would one of the richest men in America have a heart attack right in front of one of the few people who would stop to help in that neighborhood? Olivia was speechless. William pressed yet another button and part of the office wall slid open, revealing an elevator. Let me show you something, he said, gesturing for her to follow. The elevator descended deep below the building. When the doors opened, Olivia gasped. They were in an enormous underground facility larger than several football fields. In the center stood a massive spacecraft, sleek and unlike the rockets she'd seen in photos of NASA launches. This is the Valiant, William said with obvious pride. Our prototype interstellar vessel. We're 6 months away from our first mission. Workers in lab coats and jumpsuits moved purposefully around the craft. Some noticed William and waved respectfully. 6 months isn't much time for training, Olivia said, still staring at the ship. William smiled. So you're considering it? Olivia turned to him. This is insane. I need time to think. Of course. William handed her a small card. This has my private number. Call me with your decision by the end of the week. He looked at her intently. This is a chance to be part of history, Olivia. A chance to fulfill that dream of space you gave up. As Olivia left the building, her mind was racing. Part of her thought this was too good to be true, while another part felt a strange excitement she hadn't experienced in years. Back in her small apartment, she sat at the kitchen table, the card in her hand. When Kyle came home, he found her, still sitting there. "What's wrong?" he asked, dropping his backpack. "I got a job offer today," Olivia said slowly. "A really weird one." "That's great," Kyle said, then noticed her expression. "Isn't it?" Olivia looked at her brother, wondering how to explain. "It's complicated, but if I take it, everything would change for us." She didn't tell him about the spaceship or the mission. It all seemed too unbelievable. But that night, as Kyle slept, Olivia stood on their tiny balcony, looking up at the stars that had fascinated her since childhood. Then she took out her phone and William Grant's card. Olivia's finger hovered over the call button for several seconds before she finally pressed it. William answered on the first ring as if he had been waiting for her call. "Mr. Grant, it's Olivia Carter." "Olivia," William said warmly, "have you made your decision?" She took a deep breath. "I have questions first." "Of course." "Why don't you come back tomorrow? I'll have my driver pick you up at 9. The next morning, a sleek black car pulled up outside Olivia's apartment building. The driver, a man in a neat uniform, opened the door for her. Kyle watched from the window, confused by this sudden change in their lives. "I'll explain everything later," Olivia had promised him. This time, Olivia was taken to a different part of Stellar Industries, a high-tech conference room where William waited with 3 other people. "Olivia, meet some of your potential crew members," William said. "This is Alan Peters, our chief engineer." A tall man with gray at his temples nodded. "Miss Carter, Susan Diaz, our navigation specialist." A woman with short black hair smiled warmly at Olivia. "And Daniel Wright, your mission captain." The last man, with broad shoulders and serious eyes, simply looked Olivia up and down, his expression unimpressed. "A paramedic?" he asked William. "This is who you want as our CMO?" William's voice grew firm. "Olivia saved my life when nobody else would stop to help. She showed quick thinking and courage under pressure. Exactly the qualities we need." Daniel's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue further. "Please, sit down." William gestured to an empty chair. "You had questions?" Olivia sat, feeling all eyes on her. "Why is Stellar Industries building a spaceship for interstellar travel? That's not exactly your public business model." William smiled. "Smart question. 6 years ago, our deep space listening post picked up signals from beyond our solar system. Artificial signals." Olivia's eyes widened. "You found aliens?" "We found evidence of an advanced civilization," Susan corrected. "We've been communicating through mathematical sequences, slowly building understanding. The government wanted to keep it quiet," William continued. "Avoid panic. They contracted us to develop technology for potential contact." "And you built an entire spaceship in secret?" Olivia asked, amazed. Alan nodded. "The Valiant is the result of 10 years of development. The alien signals just accelerated our timeline." Olivia turned to William. "But why pick a regular person like me for such an important mission?" "Because you're not just a regular person," William replied. "Your test scores from college show exceptional aptitude in biology and medicine. Your work as a paramedic demonstrates ability to make life or death decisions under extreme pressure. And," he paused, "sometimes fresh perspectives are exactly what we need." Daniel made a small noise of disagreement but said nothing. "What about my brother?" Olivia asked. "As I said, full scholarship to any school, plus living expenses. He can stay in your apartment or move into student housing, whatever he prefers." Olivia took a deep breath. "How long is the mission?" 2 years, Susan answered. 6 months of travel each way, plus a year for contact and research. "And the risks?" The room fell silent. Finally, Daniel spoke. "We could all die in countless ways. Space is unforgiving, and we have no idea if these aliens are friendly." William shot him a look. "Captain Wright is right about the dangers of space, but we've taken every precaution. The Valiant has the most advanced life support and protection systems ever developed. Olivia looked around the room at these people who had already committed to the mission. When does training start? William smiled. Is that a yes? It's a, I need to talk to my brother first, Olivia replied. But I'm interested. William nodded. Fair enough. Training would start immediately. You'd live on site during the week, with weekends free until the final month before launch. When Olivia returned home that evening, she sat Kyle down and told him everything about the job offer, the scholarship, and yes, even the spaceship. You're joking, Kyle said, staring at her. Aliens? Interstellar travel? I saw the ship, Kyle. It's real. Kyle was quiet for a long time. You've always wanted to go to space, he finally said. Ever since we were kids. You gave it up because of me, because of what happened to Mom and Dad. Kyle. No, let me finish, he interrupted. You put your life on hold for me. You've done enough. He took her hand. If this is real, if this is what you want, you should do it. 2 days later, Olivia signed the contract. The next 6 months would change her life forever. Training was more difficult than anything Olivia had ever experienced. Each day started at 5 a.m. with physical conditioning. Then came medical training, focusing on space-related health issues and alien biology theories. Afternoons were spent learning ship systems, emergency protocols, and space survival techniques. Daniel Wright remained cold toward her, clearly believing she didn't belong on the mission. The other crew members, however, gradually warmed to her. Susan became something of a friend, helping Olivia navigate the complex world of space travel. Don't mind Daniel, Susan told her one day during lunch. He's been with Stellar for 15 years. He expected William to choose a seasoned flight surgeon, not a paramedic. I don't blame him, Olivia admitted. Sometimes I wonder if Mr. Grant made a mistake too. 3 months into training, disaster struck during a simulation. The crew was practicing emergency procedures in a mock-up of the Valiant when a fire broke. Out in the electrical system. A real fire, not part of the planned exercise. Smoke filled the cabin quickly. Daniel ordered everyone to evacuate, but Susan was trapped when a panel exploded near her station. Without hesitation, Olivia grabbed a breathing mask and pushed through the smoke. She found Susan unconscious, her leg pinned under fallen equipment. Using techniques from her paramedic days, Olivia freed Susan and dragged her toward the exit. The smoke was so thick she could barely see, but she remembered the layout from their training. When they emerged, coughing and sooty, the entire training staff was waiting with fire equipment. How did you find your way out in that smoke? Alan asked later after Susan had been taken to the medical bay with minor burns and smoke inhalation. I counted steps during training, Olivia explained. Force of habit from working in burning buildings as a paramedic. Word of Olivia's actions spread quickly. That evening, as she was preparing to leave for her weekend with Kyle, Daniel approached her. That was good work today, he said stiffly. Olivia nodded, surprised by the compliment. Susan would have died if you hadn't gone back, he continued. Maybe William was right about you after all. It wasn't exactly friendship, but it was a start. As Olivia drove home, she felt for the first time that perhaps she did belong on this mission. Perhaps saving William Grant that day hadn't just been chance, but something more like destiny. What she didn't know was that William hadn't told her everything about the alien signals. There was a reason for the urgency of their mission, a secret, that would soon test them all in ways they couldn't imagine. The final weeks before launch passed quickly. Olivia found herself growing more comfortable with her role and with the crew. Even Daniel had begun to treat her as an equal, sometimes asking for her input during simulations. Her medical training advanced far beyond what she had learned as a paramedic, focusing on space-related health issues that few doctors on Earth had ever studied. 3 days before launch, William called Olivia to his office. She found him looking older than when they first met, the stress of the mission visible on his face. Sit down, Olivia, he said, his voice serious. There's something I need to tell you. Olivia sat, feeling a sense of dread. Is there a problem with the mission? William sighed heavily. I haven't been completely honest with you with any of the crew about the alien signals. What do you mean? William pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared above his desk. It showed a series of complex symbols and mathematical equations. This was the first message we received, he explained. Our scientists took 2 years to decode it. At first, we thought it was just a greeting, a way to establish contact. He pressed another button and the display changed to show different symbols. 6 months later, we received this. It took even longer to decode, but when we did, William paused. It wasn't friendly. Olivia leaned forward. What did it say? It was an ultimatum. The aliens, they call themselves the Archon, said Earth must prove its worth or face destruction. They've been watching us for centuries and they're not impressed with how we treat our planet or each other. Olivia stared at him, stunned. So this isn't just a scientific mission? We're trying to save Earth? William nodded sadly. The government wanted to send a military response. I convinced them to let me try a peaceful approach first. The Valiant isn't just going to make contact. It's going to represent all of humanity, in what amounts to a trial. Does the rest of the crew know? Daniel knows some of it. I'm telling each of you individually before launch. William looked directly at Olivia. I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. I was afraid some of you might back out. Olivia sat in silence, processing this information. Finally, she asked, what exactly do the Archon want from us? How do we prove our worth? They've prepared a series of tests, that's all we know. William reached across the desk and took her hand. Olivia, you can still change your mind, no one would blame you. Olivia thought about her brother, about all the people on Earth going about their lives, unaware of the threat hanging over them. No, she said firmly, I'm still in. The day of launch arrived with clear skies and nervous energy. The Valiant would take off from a private Stellar Industries facility in the desert, far from prying eyes. The official story released to the public was that Stellar was testing a new satellite system. Olivia said goodbye to Kyle at the crew quarters. He had moved into a nice apartment near his new university, where he was studying engineering on Williams' scholarship. Don't get eaten by aliens, Kyle joked, trying to hide his worry. I'll try my best, Olivia replied, hugging him tightly. Study hard. I want to see straight A's when I get back. 2 years, Kyle said, his voice breaking slightly. That's a long time. It'll go by fast, Olivia assured him, not entirely believing it herself. The crew suited up in their custom-made spacesuits, designed for both the journey and potential alien encounters. Besides Olivia, Daniel, Susan, and Alan, there were 3 other crew members: Jack Martinez, communications specialist, Linda Chen, biologist, and Ben Harris, security officer. William met them at the launch pad, shaking each person's hand. The fate of our world may rest on your shoulders, he told them. But I couldn't have chosen a better team. Good luck. The launch was smooth, the Valiant's revolutionary engines pushing them into orbit with barely a tremor. As Earth became a blue marble below them, Olivia felt a mixture of awe and fear. They were really doing this. The first 3 months of the journey passed without major incidents. The crew settled into a routine, running tests, monitoring systems, and preparing for their eventual meeting with the Archon. Sometimes, in quiet moments, Olivia would look out at the endless stars and wonder what was waiting for them. Then, 4 months into their journey, everything changed. Olivia was in the medical bay reviewing alien biology theories when the ship's alarms blared. The lights switched to emergency red, and Daniel's voice came over the intercom. All crew to the bridge immediately. We have an unknown object on intercept course. By the time Olivia reached the bridge, everyone else was already there, staring. At the main screen, a strange, glowing object was approaching the Valiant at incredible speed. What is that? Olivia asked. Unknown, Susan replied from her station. It's not matching any debris patterns, it's moving with purpose. Defensive measures ready, Ben reported. Daniel stood at the center of the bridge, his face tense. Hold fire. This could be first contact. The object stopped about 1 kilometer from the Valiant, hovering in space. Now they could see it clearly. A sphere of swirling energy, about the size of a car. "It's scanning us," Alan said, checking his instruments. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across. "Every console. We're losing power," Alan shouted. "Something's draining our systems." Another violent shake and a section of the ceiling collapsed, striking Daniel directly. He fell to the floor, blood streaming from a gash in his head. Olivia rushed to him, medical training taking over. "He's badly hurt. I need to get him to the medical bay." Jack and Ben helped carry Daniel as the ship continued to shake around them. In the medical bay, Olivia worked frantically, scanning Daniel's injuries while the others returned to the bridge. "Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, and a severe concussion," Olivia muttered to herself, setting up emergency treatment protocols. The ship's AI assistant displayed Daniel's chances of survival. 17%. "Not acceptable," Olivia said firmly, reaching for her surgical tools. For the next 6 hours, as the ship's crisis continued around her, Olivia fought to save Daniel's life. She used every bit of training she'd received, plus techniques she'd learned in the field as a paramedic. When the standard procedures weren't enough, she improvised, using the ship's advanced medical technology in ways it hadn't been designed for. Finally, Daniel was stable, placed in a medically induced coma to help his brain heal. Exhausted, Olivia made her way back to the bridge to find out what had happened. She found a very different scene than the one she'd left. The mysterious sphere was gone, the ship's power was restored, and on the main screen was a message in perfect English. "First test complete. Proceed to coordinates. 4 more trials await." Susan turned to Olivia. "How's Daniel?" "Alive, but in a coma," Olivia replied. "I don't know when he'll wake up." She looked at the message on the screen. "What happened here?" "The aliens tested us," Jack explained. "They wanted to see how we'd respond to a crisis." "And?" Olivia asked. Susan managed a small smile. "We passed. Barely." Alan approached Olivia. "With Daniel down, we need a new acting captain." He handed her a badge with captain's insignia. "By ship's protocol, medical officer takes command if the captain is incapacitated." Olivia stared at the badge in shock. "Me? But I'm the least experienced person here." "Maybe," Alan said. "But you just saved Daniel's life when the computer said it was impossible. Right now we need that kind of miracle worker." Olivia took the badge slowly, the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. 4 more tests awaited them, and now she would have to lead the crew through them. "Set course for the coordinates," she ordered, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "Let's see what the Archon have waiting for us next." Olivia stood on the bridge of the Valiant, looking at the massive space station that hung before them. It was unlike anything humans had built, a spinning ring structure with glowing sections and strange protrusions. This was the Archon testing ground, where humanity's fate would be decided. "Are we sure about this?" Ben asked, checking his weapon. "We don't have a choice," Olivia replied. The message was clear. All 5 tests must be completed. They had already passed 3 more trials after the first one. The second test had been a complex mathematical puzzle that Susan and Jack had solved just minutes before their deadline. The third was a moral challenge, forcing them to choose between saving their own lives or sacrificing fuel to rescue a simulated alien ship in distress. Olivia had ordered the rescue without hesitation, earning them passage to the 4th test. 4th test had been the hardest, a simulated plague that swept through the ship, requiring Olivia to develop a cure using limited resources. She had succeeded, but just barely. Now they faced the final challenge. "The station is sending docking instructions," Susan announced from her console. "What about Daniel?" Alan asked. Olivia glanced toward the medical bay where Daniel remained, in his coma. His condition had improved over the past weeks, but he still hadn't regained consciousness. "We can't wait," Olivia decided. "I'll monitor him remotely. Let's proceed with docking." The Valiant connected smoothly with the alien station. Air pressure readings showed a breathable atmosphere inside. "We need a team to enter," Olivia said. "I'll go. Susan, Jack, you're with me." "As acting captain, you should stay on the ship," Ben argued. "The final test is likely medical or biological," Olivia countered. "I need to be there." She left Linda, in charge of the ship and Daniel's care, then led her small team through the airlock. The interior of the station was bathed in soft blue light. The corridors were larger than human standards, suggesting the Archon were bigger than humans. They followed a path of pulsing lights until they reached a vast chamber. Inside were hundreds of pods lined up in rows. Each pod contained what appeared to be a different alien species, all in some sort of suspended animation. "They're collecting specimens," Jack whispered, horrified. "No," Susan said, examining a nearby control panel. "These are failed candidates, species that didn't pass the test." Before they could process this information, a door opened at the far end of the chamber. 3 tall, slender beings entered. They had gray skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, 4 arms, and large eyes that contained swirling galaxies. Humans. One of them spoke, the words appearing in their minds rather than being heard. "You have reached the final test." Olivia stepped forward. "We are representatives of Earth. We've completed your previous challenges." "Indeed," the being replied. "Now comes the judgment. One of you must enter the Chamber of Truth. There, we will examine your species' worthiness." "I'll go," Olivia said, without hesitation. "Captain," Susan protested, "we don't know what they'll do to you." "That's an order," Olivia said firmly. Then, more softly, "If something happens to me, tell my brother I love him." The aliens led Olivia to a small room with walls that pulsed with energy. As soon as the door closed behind her, pain shot through her body. She felt like her mind was being torn open, memories and thoughts exposed like pages in a book. The aliens sifted through Earth's history, wars, pollution, cruelty, and destruction. Images of humanity's worst moments flashed through Olivia's mind. "Your species is violent," the alien voice said in her mind. "Destructive. You damage your own planet and each other." "Yes," Olivia admitted through the pain. "We're flawed. But that's not all we are." With all her strength, she pushed back against the mental probe. Instead of resisting, she opened her mind fully, showing them other memories. Her parents' love, Kyle's courage after their death, the kindness of strangers who had helped them. She showed them William Grant, who had built his company not just for profit, but to advance humanity. She showed them her fellow crew members, risking their lives to represent Earth. She showed them the everyday heroes she had worked with as a paramedic, people who rushed toward danger to help others. "We make mistakes," Olivia thought, knowing they could hear her. "But we learn, we grow, we try to be better." The pain increased, becoming almost unbearable. Then suddenly it stopped. Olivia found herself on her knees, gasping for breath. "Interesting," the alien said aloud now. "Most species attempt to hide their flaws. You acknowledge yours, yet still believe in your worthiness." Olivia looked up. "If you're going to destroy Earth, at least let my crew go home to warn them." The alien tilted its head. "Destruction was never our intention." The walls of the chamber became transparent, revealing a vast space beyond. Olivia could see stars, but also strange shapes moving between them, enormous beings unlike anything she had imagined. "The tests are not to judge if you deserve to live," the alien explained. "They are to find allies." Allies against what? There is a threat in the darkness between galaxies, a force that consumes all life it encounters. We search for species with the potential to join our defense. The alien extended one of its 4 hands to help Olivia stand. "Humans are young, but you have qualities we need: adaptability, compassion even for strangers, and remarkable creativity in crisis." Back on the Valiant, the crew celebrated their success. Earth was safe. More than safe, it was being invited to join an intergalactic community. The return journey would bring news that would change human history forever. 2 weeks into their return trip, Olivia was checking Daniel's vital signs when his eyes finally opened. "What happened?" he asked weakly. Olivia smiled. "A lot. But we're going home, and Earth is safe." As Daniel recovered, Olivia told him everything, how she had become acting captain, how they had passed the tests, and what they had learned about the Archon. "So you saved the world," Daniel said when she finished. "Not bad for a paramedic from Chicago." Olivia laughed. "I just did what needed to be done, like when I stopped to help an old man having a heart attack." When the Valiant finally returned, to Earth they were greeted as heroes. William Grant, looking older but prouder than ever, was there to meet them. "You did it," he said, embracing Olivia. "Everything I hoped for when I chose you." In the following years, Earth began preparing for its new role in the galaxy. Stellar Industries led the development of more advanced ships, with Daniel Wright commanding the first official diplomatic vessel. As for Olivia, she was offered her choice of positions, but surprised everyone by choosing to establish the Earth Archon medical exchange program, developing treatments that combined both species' knowledge. Kyle joined her after completing his engineering degree, designing medical equipment that could be used across different alien physiologies. Sometimes, in quiet moments, Olivia would think back to that evening in Chicago, when she stopped to help an elderly man on a sidewalk. How different her life would have been if she had driven past like so many others had. "The smallest choices can change everything," William told her on the day she opened the new Interstellar Medical Academy. "That's what makes humans special. Every day, millions of people choose kindness when they could choose indifference." Olivia smiled as she cut the ribbon on the new building. From paramedic to savior of Earth to founder of interspecies medicine, all because she had stopped to help an elderly man, without knowing he was a powerful CEO who would soon change her life, and, in doing so, she had changed the future of humanity forever.